Thank you very much, Toastmaster Paul. It's my great pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker today. Neil Dunsmore is an award-winning speaker and a former collection officer and hostage crisis negotiator with the Ministry of Corrections Services in Canada. He has been a business owner, salesman, and is currently a Township of Central Wellington councillor. Since his day on this corrections officer's role, Neil has been a mental health advocate and is the author of the soon-to-be-released book, Reflections in the Ripple. This book is about a journey he took on, a journey of 531 kilometers, a journey to start a conversation around mental health and suicide, and to erase the stigma and prevent so many people from reaching out and accessing the help they so desperately need. Neil is also an active Toastmaster who has won the District 86 Humor Speech Contest, the District Evaluation Contest, and has competed in the District International Speech Contest 6 times, finishing second place this year. He's also an active Rotarian who has received their highest honor as a Paul Harris Fellow twice. On September the 5th, 2020, Neil took on his journey to raise awareness of mental health. It was a walk that he called Steps to Stop the Silence, which would take 22 days, 531 kilometers, or 795,184 steps. Today, in his speech, Reflections of the Ripples, Neil shares the pain of those steps and the people who helped him to push past fear and persevere through pain, and those that carried him through those troubled times. So let's put our hands together. Neil Dunsmore, Reflections in the Ripple, Reflections in the Ripple, Neil Dunsmore.
I want to take you back to a day that will live in infamy. It happened at Capitol Hill. No, it wasn't January 6, 2021, and it wasn't the US Capitol Hill. It was my nation's capital, Parliament Hill, here in Canada. And it was September 27th, 2020. As an immigrant to this country, I was overcome when I looked up at the majestic Parliament buildings and saw those flags waving in the wind. I couldn't understand why tears were forming in my eyes. And then they started to stream down my cheeks and literally drip from my chin. I thought, am I in pain? But this was the last day and it was designed to be only 2 hours instead of 8. And the pain in my knee wouldn't come until the 6th hour. It wasn't my feet because if I'm being honest, I hadn't felt them in over 3 weeks. It was plain, raw emotion. I was reflecting on the memories that reticulated in my brain from day one of the walk to this day. All the people that I had met who had touched me and whose lives I was fortunate enough to touch. As I climbed that hill, I just rode the wave of emotion. I knew that soon I would be standing out in front of the Parliament buildings and addressing the press. The Toastmaster in me said, get a grip. But this was about mental health and suicide. And I wanted them to see. I needed them to feel the emotion. as I did. I was reflecting on those people who helped me, and I needed help from the first day. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, and anybody who's ever realized I need help and you didn't know what to do. Like one day on the trail, I could hear them before I could see them. But when they came into view, I realized they were organized. They were a pack. Oh, they sent the cute one in first with the big brown eyes and the cocker spaniel ears. I almost fell for it. Hey, gorgeous, wait a minute. Where are your friends? I looked around. I was surrounded. I looked back just in time to see the largest one lunge for my leg. I barely got my walking stick in the way. And that's when everything went crazy. There were teeth slashing and gashing. There was growling and howling. And I'm pretty sure the dogs were making noise too. I was certain that my 531-kilometer journey was going to end right there and then. And it would have, except for two things. The owner bellowed from the balcony, "Here now!" And the beast bolted. And then my cell phone rang. You see, I was walking on rubbery legs after that. But that call came from a Rotarian friend of mine, Norman. He was thinking about me, and I popped into his mind, so he reached out. His calm voice was exactly what I needed to continue taking the next steps of this journey. He talked and I walked until I saw my support vehicle, and the day ended where I planned it, not where those dogs wanted it to. In that moment, Norman's presence helped me persevere through pain. That would be a common occurrence on this walk. Like several days later, the longest walk of the day, longest day of the walk, 41 kilometers. I didn't know how I was going to finish it. And my friend Jane showed up, a Toastmaster. She had a bicycle. She rode the whole 41 kilometers with me because she knew she couldn't walk it. At the midday point, my feet were screaming in pain. I laid down on a concrete abutment that blocked the trail from trucks, stretched out to take a load off of my feet. I closed my eyes, and suddenly I felt a strange sensation in my feet. I looked down. Jane had removed my boots and socks. She was washing my feet. And then she began to deeply massage my feet. It was a middle-aged man in the middle of the woods with a beautiful woman massaging my feet. I did what any married man would do. I took out my cell phone, took a picture, and sent it to my wife. She's massaging my feet. The response was quick and brutal. That sucks to be heard, dear. I'm still not touching them. But at least my conscience was clear. But when I got up to walk again, no pain. Jane's magical fingers and that massage helped me persevere through that pain and push on my journey. There are people reticulating through my mind now that helped me every day of that walk. People I hadn't seen in years who would just call out of the blue at the moment where I was ready to fold up my tent and pack it in. Just getting their voices and hearing how I was inspiring them by just walking lifted my spirits and helped me push on and keep going. Who are you worried about? Who in your life are you thinking about? That's a message. Everybody in this world's life creates a ripple. Every step you take creates a ripple. That ripple pushes into somebody's life. Reflect on that ripple. Who is it that pops into your mind? Why haven't you called them? People calling me out of the blue was so powerful, particularly in this time. I am so grateful to have Toastmasters and Rotarians from around the world reach out daily that helped me push on, persevere, and persist in this journey of mental health. But most of all, reflecting on who they are and what they did for me allowed me to change lives. One morning as I was coming down the trail, I had been seeing bears, their scat, all over the trails for days. In fact, it was so nerve-wracking, I had reached out to a friend who sent my wife out with bear spray. So I was prepared. Now, for those of you who have never come face to face with a black bear, know this: they are more afraid of you than you are of them. That's what I learned in my high school survival course anyway. But I also know that when people get involved in black bears' lives, that fear can disappear. Like when they feed them and continue to feed them, and the black bear forgets how to hunt. So he associates people with food, and you better have some to give him or you're it. As I walked down this trail that day, I looked up and my heart stopped. There it was, a bear on the side of the trail. I could hear in my voice my high school survival teacher: make yourself look big and make as much noise as you can. So I took my walking sticks and I placed them in the backpack so they stood up over my head. I put my reflective vest on the top of them. Now I looked like I was 7 feet tall. And I began to make noise. I'm here, bear. I'm here. Come on, bear, move. The bear didn't care. Didn't move. Come on, bear. Do me a favor, would you? And just get out of here. Nothing. I kept walking. The last road was 10 kilometers behind me. Turning around would set me a day behind. I made a decision, foolish as it was, that it was time to confront this bear. So I pulled the bear spray from its holster. I removed the safety, and just for good measure, I took my hunting knife from its sheath, a 14-inch blade, bear spray. Years of experience fighting inmates in a prison system, this bear didn't stand a chance. I hoped. As I got closer and closer to the bear, I got a shock of my life. You see, what you don't know about me yet is I normally wear glasses to see distance, but you people are right here in front of me. So I've got the glasses on the desk. I had lost my glasses in the trailer I was camping in, and I'd been 3 days on the trail without my glasses. I sure wish I had them that day, because as I got closer and closer, I realized it's not a bear. It was a woman sitting on the side of the trail. I'm sorry, miss. You must think I'm probably the biggest misogynistic jerk you've ever seen, walking down here, screaming and yelling at you, calling you a bear. I didn't mean to imply you look like a bear. You see, I can't see my glasses, and I've been seeing bear. I'm sorry. I am so sorry. I could not have been more apologetic if I tried, but there was no response from this woman. And as I got close enough to see her face, my heart sank. Like I told you, I've worked in a maximum security detention center, and I've learned to recognize fear, real fear, when I see it. She was sitting down, her knees pulled to her chest. She was rocking back and forth. She was soaked in sweat. This was Canada in the fall. It was a warm day, but it was 15, maybe 16 degrees Celsius tops. And she was soaking wet. Are you okay? No response. This is a COVID situation. So I walked to the other side of the trail, pulled up my stool, unfolded it, and sat down. I was there for 10 minutes with no conversation. Finally, I said, "You look hungry." And I rolled her a water bottle I had, and then I tossed her my sandwich. I have never seen anybody eat so quickly and drink so fast. Slowly, but surely, she began to open up a little. And I told her, "I can see the fear in your eyes, and I see that you keep looking back there down the trail. You don't know me, but trust me. Nobody's going to hurt you today. You made a decision this morning. Let me help you continue on the steps you decided to take this morning." You see, fellow Toastmasters, I had the absolute privilege of coaching a woman in an international speech contest several years ago. And she shared with me her story of domestic abuse. And her voice was in my head. She was telling me, you don't need a hero. You need somebody to help you carry on the journey that you've taken. You need to do this yourself. So from the word go, I decided I am not going to tell her what to do. I'm going to help her do what she set out to do. And with a little bit of coaxing, she got up and we walked together. Her in front and me behind, just in case he came down the trail. He wouldn't see her blocked by me and she could ditch herself into the trees. After about an hour, I gave her my phone and she called a woman's crisis line. She gave me the phone and they asked me, "Where are we going to find you and who are you and what are you doing out there?" I explained what I was doing. I took out my GPS, told them where to meet us. Problem was, it's going to be another hour, hour and a half to get there. I was okay walking with her until we got to that location, because now I had north and south roads and an east and west trail to watch. What if he came down in a truck or a car? I put her in the trees on my stool and I gave her my cell phone. I said, "If anything happens to me, you call 911. And then I waited, sitting there. Now, as a former corrections officer, there are some things that I do by habit, some things that just subconsciously appear. And threat assessment is one of them. And I had no idea I was doing that at that moment. I sat down, I took an apple from my pack. I was drinking a Gatorade when a van pulled up and it slowed down. The window came down and this woman looked at me as I was sitting there with a knife, eating an apple. Who eats an apple with a knife? But my mind said that knife had better be in your hand. And the bear spray, it was next to the Gatorade bottle with the safety off already. The woman in the truck looked at me and said, "What are you doing out here?" I said, "I'm walking to Ottawa to raise awareness for suicide and mental health." She said, "Mr. Dunsmore, it is a pleasure to meet you." And with that, I got the young woman out from the trees and put her in the van. I managed to help her take the next step on her journey to a better life. The van pulled away and I had a tear in my eye. And I thought I didn't even properly say goodbye. When miraculously the red lights of the van came on, the door opened and the woman jumped down. She came running to me. I thought, wow, she wants to say thank you. And I extended my arms and she stopped right in front of me and said, "I still have your phone." And she handed me my cell phone. But since my arms were open, she stepped forward and gave me a hug. I told the people from the crisis center, I don't need to be involved in her life, but I do want to know if she's okay. That day when I arrived at Parliament Hill and I stood in front of that crowd to share my story, to talk about mental health and how we each have a role to play in reaching out to people who reticulate through our lives and helping them through the journey and the crises that happened in their life. As I was saying that, I felt the phone vibrate in my pocket. When I pulled it out, I looked down, a text message from a block number. "Mr. Dunsmore, she is okay. Thank you for everything." Thank you for everything are the words that echo in my ears from this walk. To say to the people who reached out and helped me every single time I started to falter, thank you for everything. But most of all, to the people out there who struggle with mental health and are afraid to reach out because of the stigma that surrounds it, you are not weak to reach out. Pick up the phone, reach out, and ask for help. And finally, to all of you here today, we all have people in our lives that are affected by the ripple that we create in this world. Take a moment to reflect yourself on who they are and reach out, reconnect, and risk being everything to them. Mr. Toastmaster.
Mr. Dunsmore, my tears say thank you for everything. Nothing I could say after that would mean more than that. Thank you, Mr. Dunsmore.
Thank you.